Hey everybody, this is Jordan McConnell with the Crohn's Veteran Podcast. Thank you so much for joining me. I am joined by my amazing co-hosts, CJ Cabrera and Renika Wood. How you guys both doing today?
Excellent. Thanks for
Great.
asking.
Awesome. And today we are joined by a very special guest, the chef with IBD herself, Abigail. How you doing?
Hey, doing good. Thank you so much for having me.
You're very welcome. And first off, I'm just curious, and I know our audience is curious. If you just tell us about like before we get into your IBD background and stuff, I'm just curious about who Abigail is.
Yeah, so hey, I'm Abigail. I was diagnosed with ulcerative colitis in 2014. I have a culinary arts degree from Johnson & Wales University and spent many years in the culinary industry. So I have a culinary background. And I started a blog that I run, which I do full time now. And that is called Abigail Marie, the Chef with IBD. And it's to help spread awareness for IBD. And then also I do 2 recipes a week. So I share recipes of the diet that I follow. And I also share new information and studies about new medications and things that are coming out for those with IBD as well.
Cool. Well, and so if you could, I guess, expand on your, IBD, but your kind of IBD journey. So, how old were you, when you were diagnosed, and just kind of, telling that story a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. So kind of to go a little bit before my diagnosis, kind of as a small child, one of my first memories was cooking in the kitchen with my aunt, making cookies. I was always watching Food Network while my friends were watching cartoons and asking for cookbooks and pastry bags and things for Christmas and my birthday. So I kind of always have had a love and passion for food and knew that I wanted to go to culinary school. And my ultimate dream then was to be a head chef in a fine dining restaurant and just kind of live that life. And so I went to Johnson & Wales and completed my first 2 years. And then I was on my way to work one day and got in a car accident. A tow truck hit me head on going 60 and a 45 with an expired license and a expired tag and threw my car, and the paramedics pulled me out, and I immediately had some abdominal pain, and they thought that it was my spleen. And they took me to the emergency room and they were like, no, you're fine. You just have a broken hand and a messed up ankle, like go home, you'll be fine. And so then about a week later, I started experiencing some severe abdominal pain and some blood, and I knew that something was wrong. So I went to my doctor and got referred to a GI, and then they scheduled a colonoscopy. And afterwards, they came back and said it was moderate, severe left-sided ulcerative colitis. And so that was kind of my diagnosis experience. And I mean, the car accident itself was really traumatizing. And so, they don't quite know why people have IBD, but they think that it's in your genes already. And they think that maybe the trauma of that event is what brought it out a little bit earlier in me. Because a lot of people are diagnosed in their 30s if they're not diagnosed as teenagers. So that was kind of my experience with getting diagnosed.
Wow. I wanted to say, first off, it's amazing that you're able to still share. Just hearing about that accident alone, I was like, wow, I know that's very scary for you. And then to not only have an accident, to have these new challenges along the way, and later find out that you have IBD from, not saying that caused it, but I'm saying, but like the transition of that happening. I bet that was very scary for you when you were first informed of that diagnosis. What were your initial thoughts? Like, what was going through your mind when your doctor told you that?
Yeah, so I mean, I was 21. I was working towards my degree. I really didn't think it would change so much. I asked my doctor, and he was like, well, there is no cure, it's lifelong, but, we'll give you this medicine, just continue on with your life, as if it wasn't a big deal. So I really did not understand the gravity of the diagnosis at the time. It took me several years later to really understand, the severity of the disease, as well as, just going through the process of flare after flare. So I really did not understand that it was going to completely change my life. But it definitely did. Over the next several years, I finished my degree. So I got diagnosed in 2014. I got my bachelor's in food service management from Johnson Wales in 2016. So I finished my degree, and then at the restaurant I was working at, I right after that got a promotion to a managerial position, sous chef. And so I started doing that. The restaurant industry is a lot of long hours with no breaks, and it's very fast paced and stressful. And so I was doing what I wanted to do, my dream, building on becoming a head chef. And I was giving it my all, but my body was not able to take it. I kept having flare after flare and so much prednisone. And, I knew that I needed to do something different because that was not good for me. And I was also, when you close restaurants, it's really late. Nothing's open except fast food, and you don't want to cook because you've been doing it all day. So I was eating a lot of fast food at the time, lots of frozen things, convenience items, energy drinks, all the things that are not good for IBD. But I didn't realize that at the time at all. I had asked my doctors a few years later, after several flares, I asked them if I should be following a specific diet or if there was anything that I could do. And they all told me either it doesn't matter, eat whatever you want, or there's not enough evidence to support that food affects IBD. So, I was in an industry surrounded by great food and things that I enjoy, but couldn't really enjoy because of my flares and my UC.
So what are some foods kind of just with trial and error in your own experience that that work for you and don't work for you?
Yeah, so I switched industries. My minor was in beverage management, so I switched over and started working as an assistant manager at a local wine shop, which the hours were so much better and they're during the day. And so I was able to focus a little bit more on my health. And the first thing that I did was started a food journal, keeping track of what I'm eating and what symptoms that I'm having, if any. And through kind of some trial and error, I found that gluten was bothering me, things like really starchy things like potatoes, I didn't do well with, some nightshade things like peppers. And so I just kind of kept documenting and eliminating things. And then I would try different diets. I did the Whole30 and the paleo and dairy-free and gluten-free. And I kind of was just cycling through these things, just hoping something was going to be working while I was eliminating things that I knew were hurting me. And then finally in 2019, I had the worst flare that I've ever had. And, in the bathroom 30 times a day, can't sleep, can't eat, cannot do anything. And I made an appointment with a specialist who was a couple hours away from where we lived. And I somehow pulled myself together and made it through that car ride there, which was hard to start with. And we finally get there and he takes one look at me and he says, we have to keep you. I cannot let you leave. I had lost like 25 pounds. I was super dehydrated. I was not well. I was on 60 milligrams of prednisone orally, and it was not touching it. And so they hospitalized me for a week. And we started my first loading dose of Remicade there as well. And then I finally got to come home after the week. It felt like so much longer. But I finally got to come home, but it took me about 3 months of just to recover. I was so weak and, like sickly, and it took me 3 months. I couldn't work just to recover. But during that time, I kind of found the SCD diet through my husband's aunt. She's a nurse, and was like, hey, I heard about this diet for people that have ulcerative colitis. And I was like, I'm down to check it out. I've already tried like 6 other diets. So that was kind of how I got introduced to it. So I did some research and found that it really works for me. I've been doing it about 1.5 years now. But it is designed for people with Crohn's and colitis by Elaine Gottschall, who was from Canada. And her daughter has ulcerative colitis. And so she was in the medical scientific field. And so she wanted to find things that would work for her daughter, but she approached it more from a scientific molecular standpoint. And so that over time, she found that people with IBD can't digest multi-chain carbohydrates, which are known as polysaccharides. And so what happens is when you're not digesting them, they kind of sit and start to ferment in your gut, and that leads to gut permeability and often active disease for those with IBD. So she eliminates all of those in the diet, which is what I follow. And so the specific carbohydrate diet was invented by Elaine Gottschall, and she has a book as well called Breaking the Vicious Cycle, where you can kind of learn all about the scientific details, and then, like what foods you can eat. And she also has supplement recommendations in there as well that I do follow too. So that was kind of my introduction to the diet. So things that are polysaccharides. So this includes things like gluten, fluid milk, so not all dairy, but most dairy, potatoes, and refined sugar is another really big one. So by eliminating all those things, you give the gut time to heal, and then it's able to withstand more and different foods. So, eventually you can reintroduce things and see how you're doing. But the last 1.5 years, I have been doing really well with still on the Remicade, but I do think that the diet has really helped me progress a lot.
Do you feel like you're in remission?
I do. I'm always scared to say that. But yes, I do right now. So the anniversary of my car accident is actually going to be next Monday. It's on the 23rd. And for the last 7 years, on the day, I have had a flare every single time. And so but I've been on this diet, and I've been doing lots of like meditation and, like working on the trauma of the accident too. So I'm really hopeful that it kind of stays that way. But, I think anybody gets nervous to say they're in remission, because then it's like, when's the next one?
Knock on wood.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's funny because I was talking to my doctor about remission on Friday, and I didn't realize there was 2 different types of remission. You have the
endoscopic.
Yes. What's the other one? No, please. Say it again.
Clinical.
Exactly. So I think a lot of times we don't identify what remission means for us sometimes. So when she shared with me what remission for me would be, with my colon is clear of all type of ulcers and things. So I'm in remission from that part. And I'm also in clinical remission but I do have extra intestinal manifestation of my Crohn's that they don't identify as being a part of that, because I have no active Crohn's disease in my body for my colon wise, but I do have it on my skin and whatever. But so I'm glad you said it, because a lot of times we don't have a thought about that, and it's very scary to discuss remission, because you're like, oh my God, we're doing so good now. But yeah, but I think it's something to be celebrated, especially when you work so hard to get to where you are by following this diet and doing the things that is best for your body. And it's amazing because I have Crohn's, and you mentioned about the potatoes and the other type of food. I'm looking like, wow, they don't bother me. But you mentioned stuff about like chocolates and carbohydrated drinks and grease. Oh my, that's something that definitely triggers me. Like mozzarella cheese.
Yeah.
Like that greasy pizza. I can't deal with that. But what was the name of the diet again? What was it?
Yeah, so it's the initials are SCD, but it's specific carbohydrate diet.
Okay.
And on my website too, there's a whole page that explains about the SCD. And there's also a link to the book. You can get it on Amazon too. But it's really interesting. And I really always have enjoyed science class. So to me, like, I'm just a huge science nerd. So I really enjoyed all the molecular standpoint of the breakdown of the food. To me, that was just really interesting. And then, being able to really see that through trial, what I had already done, my trial and error, but to understand why, I just was really interesting to me. And, it is hard to cook. I will say, like, as a professional chef, I had really not worked with alternative flours and like all these different ingredients. So even for me, like, it was a little bit intimidating trying to make all these different recipes for this new lifestyle. And I was like, I can do something about this. So I started my website, and I've got over 100 recipes now. But I just wanted to make SCD cooking really approachable to the home chef, and make these ingredients that you might not otherwise be working with easy to use, and familiar, and actually make something that tastes good too.
What's your when you're like, you know what, I'm in a rush, I don't have time to cook today, like, what is your go-to thing that you can like grab in a second to get you kind of like throughout the day that would not cause any challenge with your gut? Like, what do you grab when you're in a rush?
Yeah, so I like making up the no granola bars. They're mostly like nuts and honey, and you just bake them, and then it's portable, so you can take it with you. Unsweetened applesauce pouches, I take those with me in my purse a lot.
Okay.
And then as far as like dinner or something, like, my go-to really easy meal is spaghetti squash and meatballs. Super easy, like, done in 30 minutes. And I have a quick tomato sauce recipe on my blog as well. But if I'm really in a hurry, I also use the Rayos brand, because that's SCD approved.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Very cool. So how about like meal replacement, like shakes or anything like that? Do you have any like recommendations for like people that maybe like they're having like they just want to take it easy that day, and they just want or like workout or like weight gain or any of that kind of stuff? Any recommendations for that?
Yeah, so with SCD, pretty much all of the pre-made protein powders are a no-go. So it's hard to find, kind of like, if you're thinking pre-made, you can't really find it. But I do enjoy doing smoothies and stuff, especially when I'm not feeling my best. I have a coconut milk and turmeric ginger smoothie that I make all the time. And I love that. And it's super easy. And you can also make the coconut milk too. I have that recipe on there. It's easier than you would think. It only takes like 10 minutes. And I like doing that, especially when I'm not doing well. I also do a lot of soups. I have a lot of soup recipes. There's like a French onion, there's a carrot and ginger chicken ones that I really like doing. And yeah, soups and shakes are definitely good. When you're not feeling well, there are some things that can definitely help, like bone broth. The collagen in the bone broth really helps your gut to be able to rebuild that very thin single layer that is between, your intestines and the inside of your guts. But it's important to have that layer strong because while it's only one layer, that's, you have to protect that. So the collagen really helps with that. So when I'm not doing well, I have a lot of bone broth. And then when I make the soups, I put the bone broth in the soups as well. And then smoothies, things like mangoes and avocado, and eggs and cooked chicken and cooked salmon. I do really well with all of those things, no matter what. So if I'm not doing well, that's kind of more of the things that I would stick to. And I would avoid like nuts and things that are a little bit harder to digest. They are STD legal, but like if you're not doing well, then you should stick to more solid things.
Gotcha. Well, thank you very much. Appreciate that.
Yeah,
definitely. I guess I'm curious. You say you mentioned your husband before. Like when you're cooking, do you have to like make different meals, or do he also support you with the food you cook in regards to the diet you follow? Because the word support is very important for us that's in the community. So I'm wondering like how does support look when you're making the meals? Because sometimes people are like, well, look, that was you eating, but I don't have to eat that. But I'm just wondering, like, does he also follow those diets too?
I mean, he still eats like other things that he likes, like he has sweet tea and like, things that I wouldn't have, but he is really supportive with everything that I make. And he's always like sharing all my posts and he always tries everything. Like he really doesn't like salmon, but he'll still try my salmon dish or whatever. So yeah, he's really supportive. And he actually also happens to be a professional chef. So
oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
How awesome is that? Cook-off time. Have a little cook-off.
Yeah, right.
I love it. That is awesome. Sometimes I know for me going out to eat could be a challenge. Especially at certain restaurants that only have like certain type of food. Like my friends, they can eat beef, pork, like they eat a plethora of different meals. I don't eat beef or pork. But sometimes it can be difficult because even though you may get something that does not have those meats in it, when they cook the food in, it can be also a little uncomfortable to the gut as well. So that's been one of my in the past my challenges where I go online, figure out what they have to eat, and just play it very safely. I thought the salads were safe for me one time until I found out they were not safe for me, especially like the iceberg lettuce. Can't deal, but I can eat spinach. But the iceberg salad within the amount of a food, like I said, about 10 minutes of digesting it or whatever is going on in my belly is like, nah, I can't really deal with that. And for the longest time, I had no idea. So either on the burger, on the sub, I just can't do that iceberg lettuce. I don't know. Maybe it's the texture. I don't know what it is, but it does not do well for my tummy at all.
Yeah, when before in 2019, before I had my flare, I was eating a salad every night for dinner. I'm like, I'm being healthy. I'm doing the right thing. And then after, doing the STD diet and kind of listening to my body and understanding what it's telling me, I really found that lettuce was hard for me to do. So I really hardly ever do salads. And if I do, it's like a cucumber salad or the base of it is not lettuce. So yes, that's interesting that you say that. As far as eating out goes, a few things you can do, like you mentioned, go and look at their menu for sure. Everybody has an online menu nowadays. Go look. And my recommendation is pick 3 things that you think that you can eat. And then when you get there, you can, either talk to the front of house manager, or if the chef is available, they can come out and talk to you and make sure that those things are safe for you. As far as SCD, if you follow that on my blog, I have little cards that you can buy that you can take to the restaurant, and you can give them to your server and she can give them to the chef. And it has all of the things on there that you cannot have. And it says at the top, this person has a gastrointestinal disease, and these things need to be treated as allergies because they could make them sick. And it's got all those on there. So then as a chef, my point of view, I know how it is in the kitchen dealing with allergies and stuff. And, sometimes it's like the server writes down one thing, but it's something different. Like as a person dining, I want to make sure that they have crystal clear what I can and what I cannot have. And so by providing that to them, it makes it easy for the server and easy for the kitchen. And then you can know that what's coming out is safe for you.
Wow, I love that. I never knew that. That's why I said education is very important. I never knew that you can just give someone something, or I'm like, the chef, come outside and talk to you. I never knew that. Now, seriously, but to know these things now, and because this is important for us to know that we have options and not say, well, I have to eat it because it's all they have. You don't have to eat it. So you can just talk to someone about what's going on. So that's definitely good. And I'm definitely going to pass that information along, because that's something that I was not aware of. Now, me knowing it, I have more right. And I was in Vegas, where Jordan lives. The food is everywhere. I mean, you can pick something over here, like, oh my God, what do you want to pick? If you're not really, you want to eat some good food, but knowing the allergies, I said, do I eat good and then suffer consequences later? Or do I just try to eat somewhat good and then still have like a little bit of flair? But I just stay in the notion of eating what I could, but definitely knowing that I can have the option, I'm definitely gonna pass that along. Thank you for that.
Yeah, absolutely. And, just get to know like the cuisine of the restaurant you're going to, because, if you're at a French restaurant and they have this like sauce, it could be made with a roux, which is flour and butter. And if you're avoiding gluten, then that's not gluten-free. And, sometimes the servers might not always know. So it's good for them to double check with either a front of house manager or with the kitchen itself, just to make sure that, what you're having is safe.
I'm curious, what's your favorite recipe you cooked on your website?
Yeah. So I would probably pick a dessert because I love dessert. I have this, this date caramel cashew ice cream that I really love.
Okay.
Yeah,
that sounds delicious.
And it's dairy free. So the caramel is made from dates, and then the ice cream is made from cashews. And it has almond milk in it. And it's like my go-to when I want something really rich and decadent. But I also kind of save it for special occasions because it does have a lot of calories in it. But it's really good.
Gotcha.
That's some skills. Make your own ice cream, make your own topping. Like, them some skills. Cooking is an art. I'm sorry.
I mean, it is an art.
Yeah. It's an art. Like, you can't just, I tell people when I cook food, I don't have time on. I just say, well, yeah, they look done. Come on.
Yep.
Like, well, I got to put this much, because it's just me. But just knowing that the most intricate details can be something that can keep you from possibly going through a flare if you're aware of it, not aware of something different. But I'm definitely more cognizant of that now that I become more educated on different foods, because you mentioned your doctor told you that it wasn't a big deal when you were diagnosed initially, and mine told me I can't have anything that have like chocolate or sodas or anything that have like high fibrous food. I couldn't have that, but that's it. I wasn't told about what I could have. I was told what I couldn't have, not knowing that dairy can cause me inflammation. Me drinking milk can cause me to have significant gas and diarrhea. Me eating cheese can cause me to have the same symptoms because it's milk and cheese came from the same place, basically. So I didn't have the education until I had like a lot of trial and error myself. That's how I learned I couldn't digest beef or pork. It's like when I ate beef, it's like something just came and just fell right in my belly, and I could not release it. And I said, when I get rid of this, I'm never going to eat this beef again. So like a lot of trial and error versus education prior to.
Yes, which is a big problem. I mean, just to share with you, the US News did a report in 2010. The average American doctor has to study for 90,000 hours to become a doctor. And in those hours, they only get 19.6 hours of nutrition training. So it's just not even on their radar.
I feel as doctors for IBD should have at least, a few years of nutrition under their belt.
Yes, I completely agree. I think even regular, just general practitioners should. I think that it's a huge area where we're lacking in the U.S.
Or at least have them work together in the same, building.
Yeah, I mean, I remember like in my GI doctor's office, there was a nutritionist office in there, but she wasn't there.
Yeah.
So she got a sign, but she had her name on the door. It's funny because before I came on today, I had another lab with one of them, the leaders of coaching, which is I'm an ambassador for, and she asked me, what do treatment for me look like with chronic illness? And I said, me being a therapist, when I see my client, I identify the problem. We do a long-term goal, short-term goal, identify the intervention and how we're going to get here. So if I have a diagnosis of Crohn's, ulcerative colitis, what have you, we're going to do a long-term goal, short-term goal, how I'm going to get here. Miss Wood would meet with nutritionists to get her good in place or discuss food management or whatever. Miss Wood would meet with a therapist, discuss her mental health or what have you. So all these other people can be in place while I'm focused on my overall body getting well, but the whole team approach can be more important, because when we don't have the education from our doctor and we're diagnosed newly, we can do like a lot of trial and error and can make ourselves worse because we're just not educated, because we don't know what you don't know, you don't know. You know what I'm saying? So I think it's a lot of challenges and a lot of barriers that we experience as being patients that have IBD. And some of us, take time out to get to know more about ourselves than others do.
Yeah. When I was diagnosed, I actually was smoking cigarettes, and I quit smoking, and I did not realize that quitting was going to cause me to have a huge flare. No one told me that. But I mean, I'm glad that I quit, but it's like, I didn't even know. And, I went to my doctor and he was like, well, what's changed? And I was like, well, I quit smoking 2 weeks ago. He goes, oh, that's it. Like, well, thanks for telling me.
Right?
Wow.
That's different. I wonder. Maybe because nicotine is stimulant.
They said that when I first got diagnosed, I did like research about things that could help UC and IBD. And that was one of the things that was on the list. But I told myself I was not going to pick it up, though.
Yeah, it's the opposite.
Yeah, that's that's kind of like bad for Crohn's and UC. It's different somehow.
Yeah, it's like quitting for UC causes flares, but like starting for Crohn's can cause flares rather than quitting. It's like the opposite.
So weird. Oh my God. So we want to get well, pick up a cigarette.
No, I don't recommend that.
You don't recommend that.
Please do not do that.
No, you guys, not y'all. I'm saying like how it sounds like. That sounds so opposite of how it should be.
I think it's something like, if you're already smoking, it's it makes Crohn's way worse than UC. I wouldn't say
manageable.
Yeah, weird, which is strange. But, I'm pretty sure that's like a net negative, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, well, cool. Well, man, Abigail, it's been so awesome having you here. Like, so I guess one last question, and if you don't want to answer, that's cool. But what's your feeling about this diet and edibles for maybe CBD products or cannabis products, and maybe would that do you think that can help people at all, or do you think those things are like probably best left separate.
So I do think that there are some benefits for CBD. I use CBD like ointments and things for pain management and had great success with those. As far as eating something, you want to make sure that whatever it's made with, like you need to know if it has thickeners in it or things like guar gum or xanthan gum or, something that is going to mess up your gut. That would be more my concern as far as eating something. But I have used like the lotions. I get like my knees hurt a lot. And so I use it on my knees and it makes it feel better. But yeah, I think as far as things like pain management, yes, eating them, I would just be careful what is actually in it. Also, another thing that America kind of needs help with is labels. Not everything has to be put on the labels of the foods that we consume. So sometimes there's sugar, extra sugar, or something else that's added in there, and you don't even know as the consumer because it's not even on the product. So I would just be careful with what's actually in it.
Yes, I also recommend that if you don't know like a name, you look it up, because one time I looked up a product that said sugar-free, and then I looked up a name on the back of it because I didn't recognize it, and it was sugar alcohol. And I was just like...
Yes.
Get you every time.
Oh yeah. Sometimes like things can be like considered sugar-free is if it's like, less than a certain like amount of sugar like per serving.
Yeah, then they don't have to put it on there.
Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm.
That's crazy. You got to read that. Yeah, find that dextrose back there.
Oh, maltodextrin. Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Dextrose back there somewhere hiding in the ingredient box.
Well, cool. Well, Abigail, I think it's time to wrap things up. I genuinely appreciate you coming on the show. It's been awesome. It's been educational. It's been fun. All of that. So like do me a big favor and let our audience know where they can find you and where they can support you, and also maybe put in a word for your projects that you're working on.
Yeah, so my website is www.abigailmariethechefwithibd.com. And there you can see more about my story, and then more about what SCD is, as well as other kind of supplements and things you can do, like meditation. And then I've got all my recipes, and then the posts about new upcoming medicines and just other posts about things with IBD. And then you can also find me on Instagram. My hashtag is Chef with IBD. And I've got a few ebooks on there with the cards for eating out as well. So thank you so much for having me. I also really enjoyed it. And if you have any future questions or anything, feel free to contact me. My contact is on my website. My email's on there too.
Thank you.
We got Victoria. She said, good discussion. We'll catch the replay later. And then I can't really see the name, but someone said another great discussion. And then Victoria again said, that's why I shop at the Premier at store. No processed foods.
Yeah, processed foods are really hard on not just the intestine, but the whole body. So avoiding those can be really helpful.
Yes. All right. Thank you, Victoria. Appreciate your comments.
Definitely, Victoria. We appreciate you. And so, and again, if you guys, out there listening to this, like what CJ, Renika, and I are doing, what Abigail's talking about, please not only support her, but support Crohn's veteran. Like our show, subscribe to our show. Your support matters. Every listener matters. We're trying to get this awareness thing for Crohn's and colitis worldwide. So please help us do that. You can check us out at www.crohnsveteran.com. This podcast is on the Anchor platform, but you can find us on Spotify and Google and Apple Podcasts as well. You can check out our awesome Crohn's Veteran store for great merch. This is a this is from the old store, but it's kind of an example of what it looks like a little bit. And and so, but yeah, and so again, thanks for the love, thanks for the support, and thank you very much, Abigail, again for joining Crohn's Veteran.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Abigail. Nice meeting you.
Nice to meet you.
Bye, guys.
Bye.